Satya, what's your favorite rest day activity?
Sauna, baby.
Sauna, done. I saw a pretty interesting looking sauna. Somebody who sent it to me. Oh, Dre sent it to me. It's basically like it kind of it's creepy, a little creepy, but it's like a cedar box, like the same thing that like the saunas are made out of, right?
Yeah.
But it's like basically if you were to sit on the floor back against the wall, legs in front of you,
Okay.
it's kind of just like a big enough box to like have one person in it.
Like you sitting kind of cross-legged?
No, your legs can be stretched out. It's
Okay.
almost like it's kind of coffin-like.
You're in a sauna coffin.
You're in a sauna coffin, yeah.
You know what I find creepy are those...
This one wasn't, I don't think this was a portable one. It would be, but no, it's not like a portable one. Like they have the ones that are like made out of like fabric that you can just
it's like a
zip
little
up.
tent and then your head pokes out.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like a sleeping bag. They have both.
Yeah, the sleeping bag does not appeal to me. I'm like, ugh, it would just get filled with sweat. It's
Oh,
so
yeah,
gross.
yeah. You're so sweaty. Kind of like reminds you of like wrestlers like weight cut suit,
Yeah,
you know, just
no,
put on
no,
a trash
thank
bag. Yeah, sauna's a nice recovery day activity.
Ugh, man, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like a nice long walk out in the nature.
But you do the long walk anyway.
Not in the nature all the time.
No,
It's the natural world.
the natural world for the rest day.
The rest day.
You have some really nice, I'll call them meditations in our Sunday work-in lessons and Persist. Like those little reflections, like,
Yeah.
you know, even like when we were doing a Awaken training series, those were the best. It's like, get out in nature and
Yeah.
leave your phone and...
Or like, hey, let's take a minute today to forget about physical health and wellness and let's talk about relational health and wellness.
relationships.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I like taking time and I look at like rest days as like, okay, I've got kind of one day a week where I'm like really not 2 days that I'm not doing like gym exercise stuff. They happen to fall on work days. So I don't have a weekend day lined up with rest day, which is a choice that we've made in the last year so that we can work out with friends more.
Yeah.
And, you know, each other, Megan and myself and all of us, you know, together. It's like, well, we have 2 days on the weekend. We know we can get together with friends and work out. So let's take advantage of it. Where during the week, it's a little harder. But yeah, I like a rest day where it's like not working out, you know, if I could drop the kids off at like school on that day too.
Whoa now.
Might have to make Monday. My weekends might have to be Sunday, Monday and just start working on Saturdays.
Yeah, shift that schedule.
Kids are at school, babe. Let's take no clients today. Let's go and do something fun.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. So sorry, come back to
He's
to
in
reality.
a reverie.
So the topic though is about this. It's like what do you do on a rest day? Do you take rest days? What are rest days even for? And how do you let yourself slow down if you're somebody who's like, I always got to keep moving, I got to keep doing stuff, which fits in kind of interestingly with like a theme in recent weeks where got a lot of people who are like, we have a large audience of people out there that are trying to move more, but we also are dealing with a lot of customers and people in our audience that don't know how to slow down.
Yeah.
They never know how to slow down.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just kind of doing stuff every day. And so let's talk about that today. Let's shed light on the power of rest and recovery. When do you know if you need more of it? Is there something to this, like get out there and train every day, like Goggins? Like every day is a day to get out there and, you know, prove that you're not a whatever. Yeah. What's your relationship to rest and work?
I find that training 4 days a week really works well for me. And on the days when I'm not training, I either walk, and usually then one day I will do absolutely nothing. Like not nothing, like I will usually take a sauna and clean my house and work.
Yeah.
But I'm that kind of person. But I'm not training or moving necessarily. Sometimes I take a little walk.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a natural rhythm that I have where I do need a very deep rest, like one day a week, where I'm not trying to like get a lot of steps in or get a lot of movement in or like go train or do an active recovery. Like a couple days a week I do that. One day I need just come to kind of listen to my body and just feel what is needed there.
Do you ever feel any like guilt or any negative feelings come up for you when you're like, I'm not doing something today, I didn't get anything accomplished physically?
No. I mean, the only thing is that I'd like to bump up my step count overall. And so, that would be a natural day to get more steps in and, kind of boost my count for the week. So that would be the only thing. But I don't know. I think too many times I've pushed it too far and then felt like, why am I so run down? And it's like, I don't know, there's something about my stress levels that really ramp up during the week. And so having that day to just take all expectation off the table.
Yeah.
And I've also really resonated a lot with some social media accounts that post about the necessity of rest. And it's kind of counter to our culture of being productive all the time. And, the thing that would make me feel very guilty is if I didn't do any work, because I always feel that inner anxiety to like push projects forward. But like a rest day for me where I'm working is usually a day where I feel really good because I feel like I have time and focus and space to kind of do the things that are meaningful for me. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like the kind of work that's like, oh, I got so like ground down by this. It's more like I have time to do things that fuel me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm very much the same way. That's why I've kind of lined up my rest days with weekdays where I'm like, I want to have a day where I can really just sort of dive into projects that make me like get me excited around the work that we do. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a really good relationship with this work rest thing, and that's great. Maybe not as good a relationship with the work side of it, but the rest side is solid for you. At least you're not feeling guilt or shame around taking rest. Maybe we need to work on the work part of it a little bit. Secretly, I'm like, keep going, Satya.
You're like, go make that money.
Go. Make it rain, girl. Go. But I have, I think the theme that I see is when somebody really loves a rest and they appreciate it deeply, they are generally somebody who knows how to dig in when it's time to work. The best athletes in the world, the most fierce competitors, and I'm not talking Goggins because he's not an athlete. He's more of a student of pain.
Yeah, I was gonna. It's like so mental for him.
Yeah, it's mental. Like he's, he might even be the first to. No, actually, I don't know if he would. He's just kind of crazy. But an analysis of his like approach to performance, physical performance improvements would probably yield some very gaping holes in his approach. It's like, you're kind of just pushing yourself like too much. Obviously, it helps him on the mental side. He's one of the most resilient mental, like fortified athletes in the world, right? Which goes a long way in physical performance. But like his physical abilities, he's probably overtrained for far too long to like give himself the best chance. So we're going to put him aside, and we're going to look at like top performers in sports. It's like, I think back to like Matt Fraser, where it was like, he talked about like his peak of his career in CrossFit. Nobody worked as much or as hard as he did, probably. He earned the right to, have the tagline, hard work pays off. But he would talk about his one rest day a week where he would literally sit on the couch all day and just consume whatever, 10,000 calories. It was just like, Sammy, bring me food. I am not getting off this couch. I'm not getting steps in today. I'm not doing anything. And it was like, he was like, that's what I do. And I'm totally cool with it, because when it's time to wake up tomorrow and go back to work, I am going to be digging deep. Same reason why when the CrossFit Games finished, after the last rep of the last workout, he generally didn't touch a weight or step in the gym or do anything active for usually like 4 to 6 weeks, which is unheard of in that community. And he was the best to ever do it, and will continue to probably have that title for a while. Yep. I don't see another athlete coming up who can replicate that on the men's side, at least. And so, and that's true for a lot of people that I have admired in sport. It's like, I rest hard because when I go back to work, I go work hard, really hard. And the people that I hear like, I don't ever take rest days, I don't believe in that, I immediately question how much they're getting out of their physical performance on the days that they actually are working. And even if they're like, well, they look like they're working really hard on those days, it's the relative effort that they're capable of giving on that day compared to what their best would look like. So take another person who was like an example of this was like Rich Froning, another person in CrossFit who in the early days, he didn't take rest days. He trained all the time. And not that he didn't like appreciate recovery, but he was more of like, I'm a worker and I'm just going to keep working, and I don't like to sit idly. Why did that work for him? Well, he was very gifted. 2, it was at a time where him working out all the time and not being able to like go to the max, but like his 90% that he could give day in and day out was superior and more work than everybody else. So he was like he was raising the bar in a sport where people were not even close to him and not catching up to him. He was, by doing his like, I train every day, I never take rest days, he was still able to be superior. Had he continued on, somebody with like a better, a Matt Fraser at some point with like a different approach where it's like, I'm going to push harder than you, Rich, for 6 days, but I'm going to take a day off. And that approach would have likely had somebody else surpass him. So it's like it worked in a period of time of that phase. And then it worked for him in the team competition. But you just don't see athletes in established sports that are paid millions of dollars adopt I work out every day. I train and I compete every day. It's like they don't do that. There's no NBA all-star who, pushes it hard every day. They have rest days. And a rest day might look like just going out and shooting 300 free throws. But that's not like hitting the weights, hitting the sprints, hitting the stuff that really pushes the stress level super high. So, and I'm not saying that that's what everybody needs in life. Not everybody is trying to push the physical performance to the limit. I said to you today in training, this was like, we kind of were joking and laughing about this. We talk about like an approach to training where you can come in, you can work hard, but then you can leave the gym and just, you're ready to go right into your day. Yeah. Right? Which means that like you push hard, but you don't obliterate yourself. You don't push to the max. And then I said like, today's training, we're working out. And I'm like, that whole concept we talk about, today ain't it.
That's not what we're doing here.
I'm over there like holding back, some throw up because I'm doing max effort sets. And I'm like, thankfully we're just going to go upstairs and sit on these nice cushy chairs and, have a coffee and chat if I had to do something.
And then we were like, oh, we have demo to film. And you were like,
I was so bummed. I was like, we got how many? Oh no.
And then I was like, oh, they're just warm-ups. And you're like, oh, thank God.
They're just banded stretches that you're going to be demoing. I'm like, good. Thank goodness. Don't make me demo a burpee box jump over right now, because
he's gonna hurl.
I will either hurl or I will break my shin bone on this box. Even yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's a theme. So how do you get comfortable with taking rest days? Well, and here's where I hear people struggle. They're kind of in this I go to the gym every day. I work hard, and now they just have a ceiling of what they feel like they can do. That's hard because they never take rest days. So they're never recharging their body sufficiently to go to their limits, to their true limits. They're kind of working in that 85, 90% range, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but they're doing it every day. And they feel like I can't stop. Otherwise, all of my fitness or all of my body usually body composition is going to go away. Because they're now in a cycle of thinking I have to go and exercise to sort of earn my calories.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
It's you get your calorie on your watch or whatever of oh, I burned 300 calories doing that thing and now I can eat my thing. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And I can only say this with such certainty and confidence and familiarity because I've been there so many times. I got there last year, actually. I was kind of in this I just got to get the work done. And it became clear to me after 6 months. I was like, I am not pushing myself hard. I'm working out, quote unquote, hard, but I'm not pushing anything progressively, overloading. I'm not getting stronger. I don't even have the energy to come in and go all out on anything. I'm just sort of in this perpetual maintenance mode, but the maintenance mode doesn't feel sustainable. It feels like it's just hard.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that's a crappy place to be, where you're I'm just working out every day. I'm not taking rest days. I feel like it's really hard, but I see myself not progressing.
Just going in circles.
Yeah, I'm not getting leaner. I'm not putting on muscle. I'm not, my back squat numbers haven't budged in 6 months. I kind of, some days I get tired with the 20-pound dumbbells when I'm doing lateral raises, and other days I can maybe squeak out a 25-pounder, and then the next week I'm back to 20s, and I'm just sort of getting a pump, but I'm clearly not getting stronger.
Yeah.
And that becomes a very frustrating place to be, where you aren't seeing progress. So you kind of deep down know I'm not really getting better. I don't feel like I can slow down, because if I slow down, then it's going to get even worse.
Yep.
And on top of that, if I slow down, I'm not going to be able to eat the calories that I've been used to eating. And I got to rewrite my whole calorie budget.
Got to get hungrier.
Right. And this is the question we get so often. It's hey, Marcus, on rest days, do you go lower carb and do you lower your calories?
How do you eat?
How do you eat on rest day? I'm I don't change a thing.
Yeah.
If anything, I might end up eating more. But I understand the psychology of that. It's and somebody who asked that question is somebody who's actually really chasing a calorie equation with their training every day. They're not training with the mindset of, my success is going to come from when I actually can objectively get better in the gym. And it's a mindset shift that's very hard to start to make. But I understand it. And I think just talking about it now and just sort of naming it, hopefully somebody can hear that. Oh my God, that's me. I'm just caught in this loop of I got to train all the time. And that's the question people are asking. How do you take a rest day? How do you feel about taking a rest day?
Yeah.
Do you feel shame? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel fear of well, if I take a rest day, it's all going to go to shit? And the answer is, it's not going to, but it's not so simple. It's not you can just take a rest day this week and suddenly everything's going to feel better. It's you probably have to unwind a lot of energy issues that you have and like kind of overtraining and sort of like philosophical approach that you've had to training and working out every day at kind of like moderate hard intensity versus like, okay, let me try and reshift this. I'm going to take more rest. And then when I come in, I'm going to push harder and I'm going to work this better balance of like work hard, rest hard, work hard, rest hard. And that is going to actually equate to better outcomes in terms of strength, muscle mass, body composition. And it's like, you have to likely spend some time just focusing on that and not try and like figure out the calorie equation right away. Because that's going to just confuse everything. You're going to be like, well, I know I can only eat 2,100 calories a day because that's what I've been eating for the last year. But now I'm going to start to like try and push it harder in the gym and then rest. And then you're starting to work like, and you're not even fueled enough to like go and do this new thing that you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
And this was like why I was like, I need to go in like a bulking phase right now, meaning I need to eat in a caloric surplus for a period of time so that I can actually like give my body the not just the freedom, but like the resources it needs to like change my mentality around training.
Yes.
Which is like, I got to get out of just like, I eat this much and then I got to move this much and I got to eat this much and I move this much and I'm eating and moving and eating and moving. I'm working kind of hard, but like I'm not seeing progress, but I'm eating and moving and I'm maintaining this good body composition, but it feels kind of overwhelming and it feels like I'm getting run down and it doesn't feel good. I'm not feeling fulfilled by it and it's just getting old. And all right, if you heard me just saying that and it kind of like gave you a little anxiety, like then you're in it and you got to get out.
Yeah.
It's time to get out. And it's unwinding that takes time and it takes, you got to be courageous and brave to be like, okay, I'm going to do something very different. To maybe come out the other side and love my training again, feel like I'm progressing, be able to feel good about taking rest and time away from the gym, knowing that like that time away is going to be like, I'm going to come back and crush it the next day.
Right.
That was like, I used to love that during my competitive career was like, give me that rest day. Because on tomorrow, after a couple good meals, a little ice cream, a little day off, I'm going to come in.
Good sleep. Yep.
Oh man, that snatch session is going to be fire.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think one visual that I keep having about it is when you're on the rowing machine and you're like, you give it a good pull and then it's like, you're just kind of sitting there and the meters are still ticking up and ticking up and ticking up. And it's like, I think that there's people have this fear that like you always have to be in motion to be burning the calories. And it's like this 1-to-1 equation all the time because there is energy in and energy out. You do have to balance these things. Sure. But it's really balanced out over a longer period of time than I think people are cognizant of. And so when you give it that good pull and then it's just kind of like ticking over, it's like there's a rhythm to your training where you give good effort in the gym and then all of those benefits just keep happening while you're resting and recovering and chilling out. And
dude, Satya, this is such a good social media post. It's a split screen of somebody with like beautiful rowing technique who just like cranks and then has this like really slow recovery and then cranks. And then it's like next to the person who you've seen has horrible technique and is just going super fast. And they're just like, they look like they're about to pass out. Yeah. But then you look at the split screen of their actual meters and their power. And it's like, the person who goes hard and then recovers slowly and then goes hard is like going so much further and faster than the person who's just spinning their wheels over here with kind of the bad technique. And then it's like, this is a metaphor for like trying to burn the calories that you're eating, being in that race, right? It's these, it's these social media posts that people post that are like, I'm about to eat this cookie. And then I'm going to go run until I burn off 800 calories of my crumble cookie. And it's like, that's actually not how this thing works. Yeah. Because if you don't go for a slow jog to burn off 800 calories, instead train train intensely, build muscle, get strong, push yourself, and then rest. And you're burning calories while you're just chilling. And you can have a cookie and you can have steak and eggs and broccoli and all the other foods that go with it too. anyway, I'm taking notes over here. Like we're going to make that, this is an education point for people. And I think that visual and that analogy or that metaphor that you just kind of dropped is beautiful. It's like, you know, power. Like I'm like seeing the world record for 1 hour straight of rowing on a erg, like the most meters ever accomplished. I've watched that guy do it, and I'm like, I just watch his stroke, and I'm like, I mean, he's working hard, but damn, he just looks like comfortable. Like that is, and I see his stroke, and I'm like, then I look at his split times, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've never been able to row that fast for a 2K in my life. Like, and he's just so powerful, and he just has that rhythmic, you know, it's like, how do you replicate that in your training, in your approach to training? It's like, figure out how to go real hard and then recover and rest. And this is like, now it's like, this is the difference between the person who comes in is like, I just got to hit that boot camp and just go versus the person that's like, I got to come in, I got an hour to get as strong as freaking possible. I got to lift hard, heavy weights, and I got to do it with great technique, and I got to push myself close to failure. But in between those sets, I'm going to rest, you know, and then I'm going to go do it again, and then I'm going to rest, and then I'm going to go do it again. Cool. Sometimes these podcasts, you know, they're good for my soul. Good for me.
You need to hear this.
You listeners out there, you're just helping facilitate my own work and my own process. I appreciate you all for that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think has helped develop the confidence in rest is seeing how well that very thing works.
Yes.
You know, like I think you actually have to put this into practice, and it's like, it's a skill to learn to rest sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's the concept of like less can actually be more, because when you do less, you have more to bring to the days where you're on. You know, it's like if you, and a good example that shows up for people is like they start training less. So then they're more adherent with their diet. They're training every day. They're going like on and on and on. So they're just like, oh, I can be a little bit more relaxed with my diet and flexible with my diet because I'm going to just like be burning those calories tomorrow. Whereas if it's like, I only have 3 days a week to train. And now it's like, I can't just like be like, you know, at the Chipotle checkout line and be like, yeah, double guac it. Yeah, why not? Like, you know, add the triple, add a big handful of cheese. Like, you know, it's like, oh no. And not to say you can't have those things and be, you know, on a healthy diet, but it's like you start to make more intentional choices because you're like, well, now I'm focused on this thing. It's not just this like thing I get to be relaxed and have a lot of wiggle room about, because now I'm doing a little bit less. So I want to be more intentional about this other thing that I'm doing. Hopefully that's not like too much of a tangent onto nutrition around this topic, but we've talked about that before where, you know, and I've experienced it. A lot of people experience it. It's like, oh, I'm doing a little less and I'm just getting really more dialed on my nutrition now.
Yep.
Because that's a lever I can pull harder, and I'm not so exhausted and tired and feeling like, you know, oh gosh, like I got another workout tomorrow. I'm going to need some extra fuel. Like, okay, I may as well have an extra cookie because like I got to get through tomorrow's workout.
Exactly.
And again, just another great moment for me, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. I like to start out my day with an affirmation. You ready? Me. Yeah, it is. So I forget what that was from. It always cracks me up. Well, I don't know. We at time, roughly?
Almost 30.
Yeah.
Almost 30.
Good place to call it.
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Go rest, everybody.
Go rest.
Rest like you've never rested before.
Get that rest. 100% rest. If this touched on something that felt like it resonates with you, if you have more basic questions about rest and recovery, what are good things to do, we can start to get into some more granular details around that. But remember, rest is an opportunity to recharge more than just your muscles. It's about recharging your brain, your emotions, your spirit, like you have a lot of energy tanks in your body, and your physical, the physical muscle tank needs rest, but also there's other areas need rest too. So choose things that nurture that. And that's what the Sunday rest days, in Persist are often about. It's like, how can you go and like nurture, your soul, your relationships, the other things that are going to give you like feeling of purpose and energy the next day you're in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I love that thing I'm doing. Like I really dug into, I'm like so inspired in this part of my life. And now I'm in the gym and I'm going to take that and put it into the bench press, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening, joining us. We'll see you next time, and hit us as always with questions that you have in the DMs. Bye.
Bye.